Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the 15th day in the 21-day Resiliency Series entitled Embracing Your Personal Failures. We are happy that we are on day 15. We are happy that for 15 days we have been pouring into your soul, into your community, into your conscience, into your life, into your future. We are grateful for that. For those of you who have made individual contacts, personal contacts, I appreciate you making the contact. We are grateful that you have been benefiting from our production. As we develop, we will be providing a lot more content that will benefit all of us. So to those of you who have not subscribed, we ask that you tap the subscribe button so that you can get notified once we post a video. If you like our content, do tap the like button as well. And of course, as always, we will always promote that you share. Let others know about us. I always believe that the best promoter is the best customer. The customer who is satisfied can be the best promoter, the best marketer. And of course, we ask that you be one of our best marketers and promoters. Help us grow as we move from the locations where we have failed to the locations where we will not just succeed. This is our mantra, where we will not just succeed, but where we will thrive. We are prepared to share with you the 15th reason why we should embrace our personal failures. Reason number 15 is failure promotes emotional maturity. Failure promotes emotional maturity. Let us together get into the presentation. Failure promotes emotional maturity. Again, our title for today is Failure Promotes Emotional Maturity. Let me ask you a bold question. Let me challenge your mind with this question. What would change in your life? What would be the significant change in your life if you were able to handle every bit of frustration that is now in your life? How would your life change if you can handle every frustrating experience that you're having? How would your life change if you could handle disappointment without falling apart, frustration without exploding, and loss without losing yourself? Most people assume that emotional maturity comes with age. They say with age you get better at everything, but that's not true. Emotional maturity is built through experience, and failure is one of its greatest teachers. It's not because failure hurts, but because of what that hurt invites us to learn. Let's spend some time analyzing the few statements that I made. Number one, failure exposes our emotional patterns. That is something we need to be very much aware of. Failure does not create our emotions, rather, failure reveals our emotions. When things go wrong, we suddenly become aware of reactions we did not know we had. How do you respond? Let's personalize this. Do you shut down? Do you get angry? Do you blame others? Do you panic? Do you run? Do you beat yourself up? What do you do? Failure shines a light on your emotional habits, what it is that you constantly do, what it is that you have what is your quick run to, what is your method of handling those challenges. It's important because you cannot manage what you don't understand. Once you see your patterns clearly, you can begin to grow. That's the first step in emotional maturity. Understanding your everyday, your normal reaction to your frustrations, to your challenges. Number two, failure teaches us to tolerate discomfort. Failure teaches us to tolerate discomfort. Most of us try to escape discomfort. It seems to be the go-to for most of us. But emotional maturity means sitting with it, working with it. Failure forces us into uncomfortable emotions like frustration, disappointment, embarrassment, regret. At first, we try to resist them. We then fight them. We try to numb them or avoid them. We use avoidance to get rid of them or not to identify with them. But with time, we begin learning something powerful about ourselves. We come to understand that feelings are not fatal. Feelings are not deadly. Discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Failure trains your emotional muscles, and that we need to get accustomed to. You learn to breathe through difficulty instead of collapsing under it. And suddenly, because of that development, life doesn't feel as overwhelming as before. Number 3, failure teaches us responsibility and not self-blaming. Failure teaches us how to be responsible and not to self-blame. Emotionally immature people respond to failure in 2 ways. And sometimes those ways can be quite extreme. They blame everyone else for what they're going through, or they blame themselves entirely for the present situation. Emotionally mature people don't do either. Failure teaches us to honestly acknowledge our part without blaming ourselves. We begin to ask questions such as, what can I learn from the experience? What will I do differently next time? Where can I grow? What was beyond my control in this present situation? With that particular shift from blaming to being responsible, it's one of the sure ways of knowing that we are maturing. Number 4, failure strengthens our emotional regulation. Now, let's be real about this. Very few things test your emotional regulation like having a major setback. Very few things test your patience like knowing you got a blow, a setback. Failure helps us deal with the shock. How do we respond? Your mind races, your heart drops, your confidence shakes, your fear begin to spike. You begin to get afraid. But here's the transformation that happens. Every time you survive a setback, every time you get over that hump, you build the ability to stay steady for the next one, because another one is going to show up sometime. You become less reactive, you become more thoughtful, you become more composed. It's like weightlifting, it's like gymming. The resistance is what builds your strength at the gym. Failure gives you the opportunity to develop emotional discipline, and that's what we are working on within the 21 days. Failure teaches us patience and also process. Failure teaches us patience and process. And it is in the process that we learn the toughest lessons, the hardest lessons. Process is understanding that failure rarely happens. Failure helps us understand that growth, success does not happen overnight. Failure forces us to slow down, to assess, to reflect, to try again. Failure forces us to regroup. Failure forces us to wait, to rebuild, to reassess what it is we are going through. But failure teaches us that life is not about a straight line. We will go through emotional challenges. We will go through difficulties. So as our emotions mature, instead of blaming others, we begin to look at ourselves, our contribution. We begin to grow. And by doing that, we develop patience and we develop emotional maturity. Failure helps us to develop empathy. Emotionally mature people are compassionate people. And that's because they've been through something, they've been through one thing or another. They've taught themselves what suffering is like. They've taught themselves that when you fail, you don't give up. When you're disappointed, you don't give up. When you're discouraged, when you're knocked down, you don't give up. You try to understand what it feels, and you begin to work with yourself, and you apply the same to others. You try to understand what they feel. You don't judge them. You try to understand where they are. You seek to understand their vulnerability. So failure helps us appreciate others. Failure teaches you to separate events from identity. Failure helps us to separate events from identity. So the emotionally immature person may say something like, I'm a failure, I'm done, I'm dumb, I'm not learning, I will never learn. But no, as you mature, you begin to teach yourself that every movement, every opportunity that you have to learn, you should take it in and learn something from it. Every disappointment, seek to learn from it. When you realize that your life has a setback, you don't define yourself upon that setback. You don't stop at growing. You don't stop growing. You don't stop analyzing yourself. You don't identify yourself with failure. Failure helps us build resilience, and that's where the emotional maturing really happens. How does it happen? Failure teaches that the most emotional of all is to be resilient, not to break, but to keep moving, to keep growing. So when we've lost something, we've not lost ourselves. When we acknowledge that failure no longer destroys us, but that it develops us, when we acknowledge that emotional challenges don't destroy us, rather they expose us to who we are, we can develop pressure. We can develop strength under pressure. We can recover from pressure. We can recover from chaos. We can become emotionally stronger because we have learned how to tap into our inner strength, to connect with spirituality, with our spirituality, to connect with divinity, and to be resilient. Now, if you're going through a difficulty in your life right now, I'm saying to you, learn that you don't have to fall apart because you're going through a challenge. If it appears that you're falling apart, if you feel you're falling apart, see your circumstance as a classroom. See yourself graduating from it. See yourself waking up from it. See yourself growing from it. See yourself becoming a better version, discovering a better version of yourself, a version that is wiser, steadier, stronger, a lot more creative, a lot more imaginative. See yourself becoming someone that you would love to embrace, love to walk with, love to sit with, love to converse with in the future. Failure promotes emotional maturity. It does not do that simply by thinking about it. It does so when we go through challenges. And remember, no two challenge. And remember, every challenge is not going to be the same. Challenges are different. They are uniquely different. And because they are uniquely different, it means our approach to each of them is going to be different. We may need to combine our approaches, but we should never give up on ourselves. We should never settle for failure. We should never define ourselves as failures, because we can be more resilient. We can grow even if we are going through difficult times. Thank you again for stopping by on day 15. We really appreciate you being part of this community. So continue to share, continue to tell others about us, continue to be here and help us grow this community. If you have not subscribed, remember, do subscribe so you get the notification once we post a video, and we together will grow. We will be moving from the locations where we have failed to the locations where we will not just succeed, but where we will thrive. Looking forward to you joining us again on day 16. Remember, today is your great day. Understand, you are not a failure. You may be experiencing a difficult time, but you are becoming wiser, steadier, stronger, and a lot more creative. Your future is going to be bright.